up, everybody? Welcome back to the world of Fandom Frequency, y'all. It's your boy Kenny, joined by my co-host, my partner in crime right there, Skips, aka Anthony. Holla at the people, man. Let them know how you're feeling.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? What's going on? I'm hoping you guys have a great week so far, even though it's like Wednesday at this given time.
Oh yeah,
I'm hoping everything's
Wednesday,
good.
man. Hump day, baby.
Hump day. A couple more days to the weekend, bro.
Almost there, man. And we've been rocking and rolling here on the channel, man. Y'all been seeing all the stuff we've been doing. We've got these weekly recaps for all the big TV series going on right now. We got that House of the Dragon on Mondays, every Wednesday. Make sure you're tuning in for this one right here. And don't forget, on Thursdays, we're also doing She-Hulk Attorney at Law. So we're going to have recaps for all three of these series going in all the way through the finale, y'all. So make sure you don't miss any of that. Click those subscribe button, man. Hit the download if you're listening on the podcast feed. It all helps the show out immensely. Y'all have been so beautiful over the course of 2022. You've been showing so much love to the channel. It just seems like it's getting bigger and bigger every day. Been getting so many great responses on the IG, man, social media, you know what I mean? Been showing love to the reels. We're trying to switch it up while we're trying to keep it fresh here on the channel, man. But y'all know the deal. You saw the thumbnail. You know what it is. It's the internet, man. You know. It's Andor, episode 4, man. The latest, I don't know about greatest yet, but it definitely is the latest Star Wars series on Disney Plus, man, ever since they started that stuff out 2020. And this one had a lot of anticipation, a lot of hype. A lot of Star Wars fans, such as ourselves, really wanted something fresh, wanted something a little more mature, a little more gritty, more story focused, less fan service. Because, come on, y'all know the deal. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I've loved this stuff ever since I was a child. It's literally one of the first movies I ever watched in my life. I love me some Star Wars. I love me some fan service. We're all about fan service. Fans in our goddamn name. So, you know we love fan service around here. But I think sometimes, at least in the overall franchise of Star Wars, they rely on it a little too heavily at times. And I think, like in Book of Boba Fett, I think it was kind of a detriment to it a little bit. Did I love the stuff I saw? Hell yes. But that shouldn't have been in that show. It should have been Mando Season 3. We've discussed this on the channel and off camera dozens of times.
Sure.
Definitely just didn't fit there, you know. Episode 9, you know, Rise of the Skywalker. There's some cool fan service in there, and there's also some fan service in there that's like, what the fuck is that? So I think sometimes it could be a detriment to what you're doing. I think the MCU has done a really great job, for example, of balancing that in their storytelling and things of that nature. And that's the one thing that I'm loving with this series right here, and I want to highlight first and foremost off the top. This series is going in a much fresher direction. It's really taking that gritty vibe that Rogue One promised in those trailers back in 2015 and 16 and really delivering on that, man. Tony Gilroy really brought his vision to life and is really breathing a lot of new freshness into the Star Wars franchise that is so much needed, and I really hope that they move this way in the future, man. But getting into episode 4 itself, my friend, what did you think about this latest episode of Andor, man? How you feeling?
I feel pretty good about it. I like the whole essence of like what the feel of the show is overall. I like that whole like everybody has to be playing as kind of like that double agent, kind of that spy type of retrospect of them trying to like, keep on download building up to what we know within the New Hope at that time frame, like the new Empire and stuff like that,
man.
or even back to, building up to Rogue One.
Yeah, for sure.
Like to Rogue One,
it's like a prequel to the prequel.
Yeah, leading up to that, I really do enjoy that. I like seeing the whole, like how it was with the Imperials and stuff like that, already taking over the galaxy for already for a duration of time, and seeing
several
like
years, I think, a few years.
Yeah, and then like them, like how we mentioned before in the previous episode with the authorities over there in that one planet where Andor was, when Casey was at, how they officially were independent, but since all those actions that went along with a lot of people getting killed, there was a lot of pretty much the place was pretty much in heat of corruption at that sense, a lot of crime going on. That's when like they sent in the Imperials over there to officially make it they're part of their sector for them to control and to really give out that authority. I kind of like seeing a lot of that going on because it kind of shows you like, okay, so this was what was kind of happening
filling in those gaps between those that original trilogy.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that. there was not too much action within this episode, if I
Oh,
could
definitely
recall.
not. I don't
It
think
was
much at
more
all, if at all.
like it was mostly a built up. I know a lot of people don't like it too, from seeing like other people's reactions with
Yeah,
like
some
with
people really are not digging this slow vibe for sure. Yeah.
yeah, which like I totally get. Like they were talking about within like the first two episodes were kind of slow with the
Yeah.
backstory and stuff like that, which I understand. For me, I don't really mind it as long as like the payoff is what they're building up to is there. Like for like this episode, it's building up towards like the garrison kind of
Yeah.
heist in that sense, and kind of we're going to see that within the next episode. So
Oh yeah. It's gonna be
I'm
good.
I'm excited for that for sure. It's cool to see a bunch of different casts to be introduced. We get to see a lot of new faces within this team. We
Yeah.
get to see two different sides of certain characters, like Luther, for instance. That was like kind of
Oh
like
yeah,
the main,
Luthen. Peter
Luthen, like,
Skarsgård's character.
yeah, Luthen, like with his character of him being kind of like that art kind of collector. Also, like he's pretty much sells his stuff as well, but he's also dealing with another double agent within forgot what was her name. I forgot what her authority pretty much was. Pretty much.
Oh,
within
Mon
court.
Mothma.
Yeah, Mom Moffat.
Yeah.
It's getting more into her
Setting that
backstory.
up.
And she's like, all we know is she's like pretty much a double agent for like somewhere within the political game in Coruscant. For me, I enjoyed that we went back to Coruscant. We haven't seen too
Yeah.
much out of that at all. And
Nope.
that's why it was cool to see that planet again. We haven't really seen it since like what, episode 3?
Prequels, yeah. It's been a
Prequels
long
3.
time, man. I actually thought the sequel trilogy was gonna visit at some
Yeah,
point. I thought that's
so
where our
too.
government was gonna be, but anyway,
Unless
moving forward.
unless something happens within probably in this series that makes Coruscant like kind of
Oh,
like
yeah. Mandalorian can fill in those
non-existent.
gaps as well. Either one of
That-
these shows, yeah.
Yeah, but it was cool to revisit some places. Well, pretty much this place overall. Seeing Coruscant again. We've seen it for the first time in years. I like seeing like the whole like how big the structures were because that's kind of what Coruscant is. Like they're just city on top of city, and you
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
like the
get
New
that
York
vibe.
City of Star Wars. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much, we're like the city that never pretty much sleeps. So
Oh,
I've been feeling pretty good with this whole overall episode so far. I'm really anticipating much for the next one, the next episode for sure. But pretty much like enjoying the storytelling so far. But what
yeah,
about
for
you?
sure, man. I'm pretty much in the same boat as you, man. Yeah, this episode definitely didn't blow me away or anything like that. Like you said, it's pretty slow, so you better pay attention, y'all. But
Yeah.
but it's definitely a good episode, and this is definitely one of those slower episodes. But yeah, I like the series overall for the most part. I really like Cassian Andor's introduction so far, and the whole political intrigue of what's going down right now is really dope. And I like how we're getting a little more into the Imperial side of things and getting to see that one commander and getting to see the other people that are above her and her trying to find out where Andor's at and trying to figure out what's going on and figuring out where he came from and the vehicle that him and Luthen used to escape off that planet through the Imperial blockade was pretty cool. But yeah, man, this is really just setting the table for the big stuff that's going to come with the garrison in episode 5 and beyond that. And I think this series, as we discussed off camera earlier, is going to be doing like a few episode arcs at a time, kind of going through these years a la House of the Dragon style for filling in these gaps for the Andor storyline. Because as we know, both seasons of the series that have been confirmed so far is covering the 5-year gap between prequel trilogy and Rogue One. So yeah, man,
for
I
sure.
dig this. I dig this episode overall. I wouldn't say I love it or anything like that, but far from disliking it. Never was bored or anything like that. But yeah, definitely a little bit on that slower pace for sure. But I'm definitely on board and like what they're doing with this. And like I said earlier, no fan service other than one quick reference to Scarif, which, as we know, is where they get the Death Star plans, y'all, where everything goes down. So I like that allusion if you know your Star Wars lore or have seen Rogue One. So I like that
Yeah.
little teensy detail filling in the gaps, but I like that there's not necessarily hammering, hey, look, it's Darth Vader, So I like that they're
Yeah.
kind of doing their own thing. The only character we know is Cassian Andor, and we don't know any of these other new characters. It's all fresh new faces, all fresh new planets, and just that down Just that the physical sets, the physical locations, they're not always in the volume like all the previous Star Wars series have been. And this one I think looks visually the best. It looks so fucking awesome. It looks
Oh
like you
yeah,
could be there in
definitely.
real life, man, because they are. So I love how they built the sets in the UK. They really got back to that OT vibe of really making it feel lived in. I really love that aspect. And The Mandalorian does have those aspects in there mixed in with the CGI and the volume, but this just really feels like true down and dirty boots on the ground Star Wars, and I love that. So that's pretty awesome, man. And I gotta say, we don't have a lot of big plot points to go through in this one, but just going through some of the bigger moments and some of the stuff that stuck out to me throughout the episode, man, and just recapping some of those things for the folks out there, for all you beautiful people watching and listening, man. So Andor actually did reveal too that there was about 50 of his people left from those flashbacks that we saw in the first 3 episodes, but he was the only survivor as far as he knows. But he is looking for his sister out there. So as far as he knows, there's only one other survivor that could have made it out of that situation, as he was explaining to Luthen, as Luthen was very cryptically letting him know what his first mission is going to be and what they're going after, which is that garrison that we mentioned at the top of the episode here. And he's like, oh shit, what? Okay, cool. I guess I'll go along with that. He didn't end up getting his name either. And then he ends up getting dropped off on this planet, and he meets one of the other members of the squad, Vel, the blonde lady there that had the poncho, and she's leading the group there of 6 that they have at this particular mission, and they're going to be going after this garrison. And even Andor's like, what the fuck? 7 people versus a garrison? What do you mean? You got a Jedi hiding around here? And you know, there actually might be, because she did mention that there are other people that other civilizations that did kind of survive through the big imperial wipeout on that planet prior. And she said there's mystics, dead enders, and nature lovers. You know, the mystics have got to be force sensitive people, right? You know what I mean? It's got to be it.
Right?
And I like how they're just putting it in the background, like Chirrut Imwe, you know, Donnie Yen from the previous Rogue One film and all that. So I like how they're kind of keeping the force out there without getting too heavy into it. And then Vel and Andor make their way over to the camp, and he meets the rest of the crew, man. We got Akeem, Toronto, Nemik, Cinta, and we meet later the other double agent that's working in the Empire right now, Clariment, I believe. So you got those people. We meet him a little bit later, and that's pretty much the big ragtag group that's going to be going after this garrison. But yeah, man. And then from there, we also have Mon Mothma's first appearance in this series, which is pretty cool to see. The same actress from Revenge of the Sith coming back to do this thing after her quick cameo in Rogue One. And it's so crazy how close to that woman from the original she looks like. It's really weird, man. It's funny how people can be born 20, 30 years apart and look so much like each other. So funny. But yeah, man. And we go back to the commander stuff and the Imperial side of things. She's trying to figure out what's going on with Andor and all that stuff and figure out what the hell these so-called rebel scum are up to, man. But, you know, the Imperials ain't paying attention to shit. They don't give a crap. So, you know, like Andor said in the second or third episode, you know, they're all fat, or in the third episode, they're all so fat and so self-involved, they don't think we can get in there and break in and get their shit. So they ain't going to be looking for us, man. So everything's all good there. And Mon Mothma actually returns back to her crib on Coruscant, like you mentioned earlier. So great to see that planet once again after the last, 10, 15 years, something like that. So awesome to see that planet again. And she's arguing with her husband and whatnot. And it's kind of cool to see that she was married and stuff like that. I don't remember them ever bringing up this kind of information before, did they?
I don't think no, because I think in
I don't even think
she
in
was only
Legends
there
they
in
ever
like
said that.
no,
but
I
who
think
knows?
off of film. I think she was off of like Return of the Jedi, wasn't she?
Yeah,
Like
it was like Return of the Jedi, yes, and
I,
New Hope. Wait, no, Return of the Jedi, yeah.
I think that was because I'm starting to remember more of her character. Yeah, it ended up being Return of the Jedi. that
Yeah.
she ended up like showing up, and
Yeah,
that
she
was
was
like
giving
pretty
up
much.
the plans for the second run. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was no. At this point, she was just pretty much doing like going over the battle plans for the second battle within the Death Star and stuff like that. Things
Yes, sir. With the Bothans, man, you know the deal, man.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. General Akbar.
Yeah.
That's a trap.
Yeah.
Blew him up.
And that's why I think it's I don't think she was married at all. From what we've seen.
Well, they
so
never
far.
mentioned it, so I like that they're fleshing out her character as well. And it did seem like, at least from the trailer, that she is going to play a pretty pivotal role in the series, and is going to kind of flesh out things on the more political, on the Republic political kind of side of things. So I like how you kind of have Luthen as like the double agent with the rebellion, and the politicians and whatnot. And then you got Andor down in the trenches doing the dirty work. And then you got Mon Mothma, who's on the politics side and hasn't gotten mixed up in all this yet. Doesn't seem like. So it's gonna be really cool to see all these different factions kind of playing in together, you know. And but yeah, man. And then Vel gives the group the game plan of how they're gonna get this garrison after the seventh guy returns, Clariman, and he's got the whole Imperial getup, which I thought was actually kind of a cool little costume. I'd rock that. And yeah. And then we go back to the commander from earlier, man, and she's getting yelled at. They're like, "Hey, we ain't sending no fucking troops anywhere. We ain't looking into that bullshit. We got more pressing matters to be at hand here." And that's pretty much it for the episode, man. It wasn't really a lot of big details or big name drops other than Scarif and Coruscant and that quick Mon Mothma introduction. But yeah, man, it's a little bit of a lighter episode in a sense, even though it's a longer episode, which I thought was kind of interesting.
That's the whole episode is just. It's like kind of had like that slow pace, but it kind of has like that sprinkling in throughout like the story and stuff like that. It's kind of how
these little quick details like Scarif, the garrison. You know, you're kind of getting in these little hints, and the commander kind of seeing all the players that are going to be in this thing.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely taken in that whole, I guess, how we mentioned like that kind of double agent spy type of feel with the episodes.
Yeah, man. Like I said earlier, the Bourne Identity in Star Wars. You know,
exactly like the Bourne Identity. It's like they can't really go too quick because at this point, I mean, this is where the Imperials were at the highest and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it makes sense. Like we can't go right off the bat. Oh, we're gonna be able to like take on the Imperials like right from the jump. There's like a lot of stuff that they gotta like build up to and go against what we've seen from Rogue One and even for A New Hope and everything like that.
Fleshing out the story of the rebellion. Number one dope aspect of this series that I was looking forward to from the trailers once they started getting more into what the story was about. And that's my biggest potential, I think, is with this series, is really fleshing out the background and the story of the rebellion, how it came together, who were the big players early on. And Andor's journey within all of that is going to give us so many different looks at different people in this whole wars of the Star Wars, man. So I love all that, man, and just kind of speculating for the future as well, man. So do you think we're gonna get to that garrison in the very next episode next week, or do you think they're gonna hold that off for episode 6?
I think for sure it's gonna be next week. I feel like they have to, because like that's
me too.
I feel like that's like the whole built up is for this episode was for next week. Because they're already at the point where they said they're going to do like 3 days now, moving on to 2 towards the end of the episode. I think we're going to be getting ready for the garrison episode throughout the time frame. But I have a feeling definitely someone's definitely going to die within that whole run.
Within that clique. For sure. Yeah, it does seem like things are not going to go quite right for some reason. I just have a bad the classic Star Wars quote, I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, like it's not going to go as plan. I feel like who was it? The guy with the little hat was who was like pretty much defending
I think that was Nemec, if I'm not mistaken. I think so.
I think he might get killed off within the
the one that fell asleep during the watch when he was on watch.
Yeah, I think he's gonna end up getting killed off because like it just seems like that's probably where if they gotta get rid of a character, it's probably gonna be him, like the innocence of the group, pretty much, because he's like really the only one that really give Cassidy like kind of that opening, saying like as long as he's there for the cause, I'm willing to to be like pretty much going on the mission with him, because everybody was pretty much on the fence.
Yeah, they're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, they're trying to play it off, being like, "Oh yeah, this was always part of the plan, but we can."
Vel. I don't know why she's doing that though. Like, why do you think she's not telling him what's actually going on with it?
I think because I have a feeling is that they probably have in the past like got an Imperial spy kind of like in the trenches and things didn't go out as planned.
You think they tried to do these kind of things earlier on and it kind of went awry already?
Yeah, it went pretty wrong. Somebody was informed. A lot of people possibly got killed. So now they're very tight-lipped about the whole future missions, pretty much, because they don't want to like expose too much of the plan of what they want to do, and they want to make sure the success rate is pretty high without anybody giving up their plans before it even starts and stuff like that. So it's that very hush hush kind of scenario, it seems like, because everybody's like always off page, or like they were on the same page, and there seems so hesitant to like accept anybody that's an outsider, like last minute and things like that. It's
And
probably
in a
within their
political thriller like this, it totally plays in because who can you trust, right?
yeah, because at this point, if anybody was trying to go up against the Empire, I'm pretty sure that they want to be that informant. They get paid for it. And they'll just and for the Imperials, they're just like get rid of them right off the bat before it grows any
sure.
bigger. So it makes like a whole lot of sense within that aspect and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think we're gonna get to that Garrison definitely in the very next following episode. Another big name drop they actually did do in the series, and although it's somewhat fan service, we already know he's gonna be in the series based from the trailers, and it totally makes sense being one of the big leaders of a faction of the rebellion. It's my boy, one of the greatest actors to ever grace the screen, Forrest Whitaker, back in the Star Wars universe playing Saw Gerrera, man. You know what I mean? He's essentially the Rage Against the Machine of the rebellion, man. He's like, fuck them all, burn it down, bomb track, bitch. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Bulls on parade and shit, dude. Like, he's like, let's go. You know, and they were saying, hey, you with Saw Gerrera? You know, is that what you're doing? So, do you think we're going to see Saw Gerrera within the next 2 episodes, or do you think we're going to have to wait a little while?
Because we'll probably have to wait a little while.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
thinking like maybe 2 to 3, I would say like maybe 3, 4 more episodes, you know?
for sure that like because they're gonna want for us to be able to get introduced to that character. We're gonna a lot more trust needs to be built with Cassidy already as it is, and they're still on the fence with him. So maybe after the garrison and more like little missions and like along with that group and everything like that, I think that it's just building up that trust for them to actually introduce them to like the main crew and kind of like telling them like the whole purpose of this group of going up against the Empire and build like the rebellion pretty much in that sense.
For sure, man. Yeah,
So
but yeah, I think it's gonna be a little while before we see our boy Saw Gerrera. But I love he's gonna be popping up in this thing because it makes so much sense, like it did with Rogue One, and all the history of that too. We didn't get to see him talk to Andor, I believe, in Rogue One, so it's gonna be cool to see him talk to Cassian this time and see if they have any dialogue back and forth. Are we gonna meet a young Jyn Erso potentially? You know, who knows? Was she running around with him at this time? It was 5 years prior. I believe she was around Luke's age, roughly around there in Rogue One. So, I mean, she could have
Right.
been, she might have been a teenager running out doing her own thing at that point. But you never know. We could get a young Jyn Erso up in this thing where they don't meet. She doesn't meet Cassian, but we could get that introduction in the series with Saw Gerrera. So that's highly likely. And Harrison Dula is another character from the overall Star Wars canon from Star Wars Rebels that people think she could possibly be in here, or her dad, Shamsin Dula, from the previous Clone Wars series. So we definitely can get some of these alien characters that we've seen before in the past. And I think it'd be really cool to see Hera in the mix between now and season 2. And I think it would
Right.
kind of make sense. She is a pretty big deal of the rebellion early on, especially with her dad kind of being one of the forefathers and one of the people that really set the tone and established that lore, man. But yeah, man, I'm really digging where this is going. I'm excited to see what happens down the line. But I like how it's taking its time. It does have a story that it wants to tell, and it's very clear what that story is. So similar to House of the Dragon, another series that we're reviewing and watching currently right now that's on TV. I think they're doing a great job of setting the table and building on the characters each episode. And some have more action and they're more fast paced than others. But I think they're really taking their time to tell a very clear and intimate story in the Star Wars canon, man. And I think we definitely need a lot more of this type of storytelling in the overall Star Wars universe, man. But any other big details or any Easter eggs, any other big things stick out to you, man, before we grade this thing?
Nothing too much. You pretty much like knocked everything
Yeah,
out when it comes
I
like
think
the
I got
Easter
every, I
eggs.
think I got all the
Yeah,
Easter eggs and stuff. I think.
yeah. I think unless that there was anything that we probably missed,
But yeah,
like,
man. If
let
there's
us know.
anything we missed, y'all, let us know in the comments, man. We'd love to hear about it because
Yeah.
these eyes can't see everything.
For
I got
sure,
4 of them,
dude.
but I still can't see everything. But yeah, man. I think that pretty much covers it, man. I think I'm gonna go ahead and give this episode a solid 7 out of 10.
solid
7.
seven.
No, I'm gonna go 7.5 out of 10. Good episode of TV,
7.5.
solid stuff. But yeah, didn't blow me away. You know what I'm saying? But it's good stuff.
I would give it. I think what did I like leave off at? I give it it's like like the first 3 was like 7.5.
Yeah, I think you gave it a 7.5. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Probably like a 7.3. No, Yeah, 7.3. It seems like that's where it's at right now for me.
All right, all right.
So
We in the
it's
7
pretty
range,
good.
baby.
Yeah.
Andor, you're passing the class, man.
We gotta get you up to that B average. Get you up to the
All right, Cassian.
80s.
Here we go, boy. Here we go, man. But really digging this show. It's definitely a breath of fresh air in Star Wars, and we want to hear from y'all, man. Let us know what you thought about this latest 4th episode of Andor. Have you watched the other 3? I hope you did. If you've been watching this spoiler-filled review and recap for it, but does this meet up with your expectations? Are you a little disappointed? We know it's a little bit split out there in the world of Star Wars fandom, but not nearly as much as episode 8. So good to see that people can still be civil with each other and maybe just don't enjoy it as much as others. But it's good to see that Star Wars is doing its thing. Definitely one of the better shows on TV week to week right now, and I'm having a good time with it. Can't wait to see where it goes down the line. But just another quick reminder, y'all, don't forget, every Wednesday by the evening, we're going to have our weekly recap going up on the podcast and YouTube channel. Make sure you check that out every single week. We're going to be covering the entire run of Andor, all 12 episodes, baby. All 12 episodes. Supersize me, man. We're doing it all. And don't forget, we're doing House of the Dragon, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. And for those that aren't already aware, that haven't checked out anything on the channel thus far, or aren't already a part of our lovely subscriber community here on the channel, we're doing a whole spooky season, man. We're going to be covering a bunch of horror content almost every single day on the channel every week. You're going to have horror, Halloween-themed content jumping into your feed. So make sure you click that bell button, hashtag more cowbell, so you don't miss any of that dopeness, man. Hashtag more cowbell. You know you don't want to miss it, man. We're covering all the big stuff. Terrifier 2, Halloween Ends, Werewolf by Night over there in the MCU. We getting creepy in the MCU, baby. MC creepy. You know what I'm saying? We doing it, man. We're doing it. And yeah. But any other final words, my friend, for the people out there before we sign off, man? Any of the house cleaning I forgot to get to?
No, that's pretty much it. If you want to continue following us, hit the subscribe button if you come. If this is your first time viewing this episode. And as always, my parting words is be mentally strong, be physically strong, and have a great rest of the week coming up.
Yes, we were going to see you mañana, so make sure you stick around for that She-Hulk Attorney at Law tomorrow. And we got so many cool things coming, man. Like we said, Werewolf by Night on the MCU corner is coming real soon. We're going to be covering all the Andor stuff, man. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I should announce? Anything else I got to talk about? I don't think so, man. I think that's pretty much it for the channel, y'all. I mean, for the channel. Oh, my gosh. What am I talking about? That's pretty much it for the episode today, guys. So thank you for tuning in and checking this out. We got a lot of great stuff coming, man. So until then, make sure you stay tuned, you don't sleep, and may the Force be with you.
Oh, heck
Always.
yeah.